Sometimes people get a little bit frightened by something called gesture controls, but they are really useful. Just to point out a couple of things before I do, you see this little square thing just in between the size slider and the opacity slider of your brushes? Remember that. Okay, so come to our wrench icon. We want the Preferences tab, and just where I'm flashing up, there are the gesture controls. Oh my goodness, there's a whole load of them. These are all the gestures, things like 2 fingers tap, 3-finger tap, 3 fingers swiping down the screen, that are really great when you learn them and a complete pain in the backside when you don't. But what we've got here is kind of a matrix. For any one of those gestures, you can assign an action. For example, if I come to the top one, smudge, that little square thing we just talked about, plus the Apple Pencil, is turned to on. So, come here, let's make sure I'm on the right layer. Yeah, that's fine. My brush is selected. Let's just see what I have on my smudge. Let's try an oil palette knife from the Drippy Cat Art Studio. There's my brush. Any random brush. But now, if I press my finger on that little square, and now come here, I've chosen my smudge tool. Even though it doesn't appear in the top, which is a bit of a shame, I would like to be able to see that I'm touching the smudger, but then when I release, I can go back to my regular paintbrush. 2-finger tap again and 2-finger tap again to undo that, and there's another gesture. 2-finger tap to undo. Let's come back. Preferences and gesture controls. Now this is one thing that's going to throw people. You saw little square box plus Apple Pencil, that smudges. Supposing I'm in Erase and I don't know that, well there you go. Little square plus Apple Pencil, that might be useful for when I'm erasing, so let's turn that on. When I do, did you see that? I got a little warning sign next to the smudge. That lets me know that when I turned on little square plus Apple Pencil to erase, it turned off the same thing for smudge, because you can't have a gesture do 2 things at the same time. I prefer it with smudge, so I'm going to turn smudge back on. Watch what happens next to erase when I do that. Same warning sign. But this is nice. It lets you customize the various gestures you use inside Procreate. Assisted drawing, I'm not particularly bothered about assisted drawing, so I'm not going to use any gestures for that. What I do like though is this one, the quick menu. And you can see 3-finger swipe. That means when I take my 3 fingers and swipe down, I get that, the quick menu with various different actions there. I can come to flip vertically, 3-finger swipe again, flip vertically again, plus any of those other options. That is what I find useful, and I've used it often enough that it becomes completely automatic. Coming back to our gesture controls, full screen, 4-finger tap. Well, that means that if I take 4 fingers and tap, I lose the interface, and 4 fingers tap will turn it on again. I prefer to turn that off, because sometimes you will accidentally tap your screen with 4 fingers and the interface goes away and you're thinking, oh help, my interface is gone, how do I get it back? Because you don't realize this was turned on. Everything else, look, I'll let you go through that, but the general principle of this is go through these, see what's going to be useful for you, and set these up how you like them. Just bear in mind, only one gesture is allowable for any one action. And I'll finish this with my absolute favorite, the eyedropper. This is the thing that lets you select colors directly from your canvas. And I have mine set up to touch and hold, and you control how long you have to hold for with this little gizmo here. And what that means is if I want to sample part of that forehead, rest my finger on there, and there's my eyedropper tool. This is incredibly useful. Okay, if this video is useful for you, consider hitting like and subscribe, and check out the links below for some top-rated tuition plus an entire art studio in a box.